Welcome to STEMinism Club.
Hi guys, today I'm going to teach you guys how to create files for laser cut art in Adobe Illustrator. I'll teach you guys how to create this rising sun over here. And hopefully with these skills you can take them further to create more complex pieces like the ones that I've created so far. So I'm hoping to see where you take these steps in the future as well. So the first thing we are going to do is set up our file, and in order to do that we'll say File, New. And I usually like to make my files 24 by 18 inches because that is the size of my school's laser cutter. Now that we have this created, we should also create our layers. And usually I like to start off with 8 layers, but as always you can choose how many layers you want. Finally, we also need to create the colors for that correspond to each different layer as well. And so that you can do here by, let's say we'll just draw a shape. We'll just choose the color for it, and you can choose which color you want. And then you can click this folder, this new swatch, and it'll add it to your swatches. So just do that 8 times for each layer. Now that I have all the colors created over here, I will also add them to my additional new swatch. So I'll just select all of these colors and I'll say new color group. And here are all my colors for each different layer. So I have 8 colors corresponding to 8 layers. The next thing we need to do for setup is to set up our keyboard shortcuts. And the 3 main commands that you'll be using to create these art pieces are outline path, offset path, and send to current layer. So I can change my keyboard shortcuts by going to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. And all of the commands I just told you are not menu commands, they are tools. So in this case, oh no, they are menu commands. My apologies. So in this case, we will be looking for offset path and outline path, and usually these are under object. So I'm just going to look for those really quickly. Oh, so they're an object path. So you go to menu commands and you select object path. And here you can see outline stroke can be selected. So I would just click on this. I've already set it to Command I, but you would just click on this text box and type in Command I again. I'll do that the same thing for offset path, so Command K. So the last one we have to do is define send to current layer. And what send to current layer allows you to do is basically if you select a certain layer on here, you can move your object that you just drawn to that layer. So we're going to look for that really quickly. Okay, so if you go to Object, Arrange, Send to Current Layer is under this folder. So I'll just select on this function and I'll click Command L, type it in there. And now you have everything ready, so I will click OK. Once I click OK, it'll just automatically set me back to my file, but for people who are creating these shortcuts for the first time, I'll ask you to save it as a different type of folder. So in this case, you just save it, name it whatever you want, and then you can toggle between different types of shortcuts as well. So we're going to draw our border. First of all, I'm going to draw a box, so I'm going to click this tool over here. And if you hover over it, it'll say rectangle tool. Alternatively, you can just click M, and I'll just click the spot right here. So I want to have mine be 4 inches wide and 8 inches tall. Of course, you can make this any size you want. So this is the outside of my box. Now I'm also going to draw a line that is 10 points thick. So how I would do that is I click this tool over here, line segment tool, and I just, again, click the screen over here. I don't drag anything, I just click and I type in my length. So I'll have that be 1.39 inches, I don't really care right now. And I also want to make my line flat. So here I have this line, but as you can see, and if I zoom in, it's actually blank, and that's because it has no stroke width. So I'm going to change my stroke width to 10 points. And usually I like to change my stroke width to 10 points, and that is because if you cut anything below 10 points, it will be very flimsy and it will break. So any sizes of your traces or shapes you want to be doing need to be thicker than 10 points. So I'm going to turn this actually into a rectangle, and how I can do that is I can use outline path, and that would be Command I from our keyboard shortcuts. So I'll just put that along the bottom of this rectangle for reference. And I'll also do this again, so Command C, Command V to copy and paste, and rotate this by 90 degrees to make it vertical. So here now I have my outside box, and I also have my reference points for how thick my inside box needs to be. So I'll copy and paste this rectangle, I'll line it up again by the center, and now I will downsize it. If you just click downsize here, you'll see that you're actually downsizing from the bottom left corner, but I want to decrease the dimensions of the shape from the center. So in order to do that, I will hold down Option as I drag this anchor inwards. At the same time, you see the dimensions can still be changing in ratios to each other. So if I want to fix the dimensions in my triangle, I will also hold down Shift. So I'll hold down Shift and Option to make sure that my rectangle is staying the same dimensions and also centered. So here it is about almost there, thickness. Okay, so I've lined it up to this right side, and now I'll just line it up to the bottom as well. I'll move this over here. So that is lined up. Oh. Move this to the top. I'll line up the inner. Okay, great. So now I have an inner circle and an outer circle. Now I will ask you to open your Pathfinder window on the right. You can also find it from clicking Window in your Menus button and just looking for Pathfinder. So now I have Pathfinder, and what it does is it allows you to combine different shapes in different ways. So I'm going to take this shape, and I'm going to take my outer box as well, and I'm going to click this Exclude tool. So if I click this Exclude tool, you'll see, oh, I only have the border. So I now have my border ready. Let's see our layers. So right now, this border is on layer 8. I'm going to change the color really quickly to the brightest blue in order to correspond with my color choices for each layer. Great, so now I have the border ready. The next thing I'm going to do is draw the sun over here. So I'm going to take my circle tool, which I can find by right-clicking the rectangle tool and just selecting ellipse. Actually, first we're going to draw reference lines. So I'm going to use the line segment tool and draw a reference line from this corner to this corner of the rectangle. And I'll make that 1 point because I'm not cutting this line, I'm just using it for reference. I'll do that the same to the other corners. So now I can see that this is my center, the intersection of these two lines. So that way, now I can click on the ellipse tool, or you can type L to get there. I can hover over the intersection of this line. Now you see, like the rectangle tool, if I kind of just drag and click and try to draw my circle, it will center at a corner of the circle. I want to center at the center of the circle, so I'll hold Option down. I also want my radius to be the same at all points, so I'll also hold down Shift to make a perfect circle. So now you'll just drag your mouse up and down to see what size you want. I'll have it right here. You just release, and there you have your circle. So we're going to make our circle without an outline and only with a fill. I'm going to make it the color of my second layer. So that's this color over here. So now I have this shape, but it's on my first layer still, and I want to send it to my second layer. And I'll just type Command L to send it there. So now you see if I select the shape, I'll highlight layer 7. Another note is that the layer at the top in this layers window corresponds to the layer that you'll see on the top. and then layer 1 then would be, for example, the most bottom layer. Okay, this is great. Now I have my sun. The next thing I'm going to do is to draw some sun rays. So I'm just going to draw a line from about the center of this side to the other center of the other side. So what's great about Adobe Illustrator is that I'll help you adjust to certain, or like fix you to certain points as well. So automatically you know you're in the center here. So I'll just drag it all the way to the end. Now I have a line. I'm going to make it 10 points thick again. And then I'm going to make the color, the color that corresponds to the third layer, because it's under the sun, which is on the second layer. So make that this color. Okay, so when we're laser cutting this, we don't want the laser cutter to only cut the line, so we must also outline the path of this shape. So I'll click Command I, and you can see now it's a rectangle. Okay, now I will draw a horizontal ray. So that would be from the middle of here. I'll make it about 5 inches, 0 degrees. Oh, it's not centered, so I'll just move this over, adjust this to the center again. I'll make it 10 points thick. And then I'll send it to layer 6 by clicking layer 6 and typing Command L. I'll also do that to this other ray as well. So I'll click this component and I'll click layer 6 and type Command L. Now it's on layer 6. Finally, I will also outline path this shape. So that'll be Command I. So great, I have everything that I need generally to start creating this intruding and extruding effect. So in order to create this effect, you must have all your rays. Oh, I forgot that we also need to add rays actually to where these two reference lines are. So I'll actually turn these lines into these reference lines into the rays really quickly. So I'll make them 10 points. I'll change the color to the color that corresponds to the third layer. I'll Command I to outline the path, and then Command L, click layer 6, Command L to send it to this layer. So now I have everything ready from the rays to set up for this extruding and intruding effect. So I'm actually going to take all of these shapes, so all of these rays, and I'm going to combine them together with Pathfinder. So I'm going to click Unite, and now they're all one thing. So first thing I'm going to do when creating my extruding effect, I'm going to teach you how to do it for one layer. So I'm going to click this shape that I want to extrude, and I'll type Command K. And it says, okay, you can now create an offset path. So how thick do you want the offset path to be? So usually by the 10 points rule, I'll just say I want it to be 10 points thick. So I'll click OK. And now it gives me this large offset path. Notice that your original path is still there. So now this larger path I want to send to my layer 5, my layer below this layer. So first of all, I'll change the color. So you can see the color change. Then I'll just move it to the next layer. So Command L to mix it. And so I'll do this again. So first you type Command K. And so it was already previously set to 10 points before, so Adobe Illustrator should already save that for you here. So I'm not going to change this value. So OK. I'll change the layer color. Then I'll click the next layer that I want to send it to, and I'll type Command L. And I'll do this over and over again until I get to my final layer. So now we have all this drawn, but we want to be able to fit our lines inside the boxes somehow. So I'm actually going to select all these lines, so I'll take this mouse tool and I'll drag it over all of these shapes. I'll just select that right there. Now I'm going to type Shift E, which is a shortcut to my eraser tool, which you can see over here. So this is preset already from Adobe. And I'll just start erasing. As you notice, the eraser tool is actually just almost like a small pen that erases everything. But I'm going to teach you a trick that you can erase more quickly with. So if I hold down Option and I drag from this corner, it'll actually give me a rectangle eraser that I can just drag over all these pieces and erase them. Another thing you might notice is that the border isn't erased. This is because we didn't select the border before erasing, so the eraser will only erase the selected components. So I'll just do that again. So I'll hold down Option, I'll drag, erase this side. So Option, drag, Option, drag. So all of these tools are now ready to go. Okay, we are almost there, but we are missing one more piece, and that is the clouds over here. These clouds are just shapes that you can draw from circles and using some erasing. But in the end, when you're experimenting around with these designs, it's really up to you to see, oh, how can I combine different geometric shapes to make different images? So I'm going to teach you how to create these clouds really quickly, and we'll click the first layer because that's where they are drawn on. So I'll click the circle tool, the ellipse tool. I'll hold down Option to draw from the center and Shift to make sure it's a circle. And I'll just play around. So I'm actually going to release Shift because for my clouds I don't need perfect circles. So you can just see what do you want your cloud to look like. So I'll do that again here. I'll hold down Option and I'll draw another ellipse. So this looks like an okay cloud so far. We're going to move it up. And now we're going to draw another one on the bottom as well. I'm going to click this ellipse tool, hold down Option, just draw some more. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these shapes, and so I can use Pathfinder to do that, to intersect these two. If you just type Command G to unite these shapes, it'll leave the shapes separate to each other. It's just that if you select one shape, it'll automatically select other. But I actually want to intersect the two shapes as well. So I'll click Pathfinder and click Unite. And now they're united. I'll do that to these three circles over here as well. Great. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to erase the bottom of it to create this flat looking cloud. So I'll select these two clouds and I'll type Shift-E to access my eraser, and then I'll hold down Option to select my rectangle eraser. And I'll just drag this over here. At the same time, I'll also trim the outside borders as well. And now I'll make these two shapes the color of the first layer. And great, now we have your art piece ready to go. Well, actually, not quite yet. So while you are done with your art piece, you now have to prepare it for sending to a laser cutter. So I'm going to make a new file. So once again, also 24 by 18 inches. And this file is where I will put all my laser cutting images. So how I do this is I'm actually cutting each layer individually, and then once they are cut out, we need to glue them back together. But for now, I'm just going to tell you how to prepare each of these individual layers. So I'm going to lock all the other layers first. And now I'm just going to select everything on the first layer. So you see the border and the clouds are the only thing on the first layer. Now I'm going to use Pathfinder and I'm going to unite this. And so voila, this is my complete first layer, and I can take that and copy and paste it over here. So I'm just going to messily put this over here, but we can fix that later. Now I'm going to prepare my second layer, and in order to do that, your second layer is actually a combination of your first and your second layer. So what you're cutting for your second layer is what is on the second layer of your art file and the first layer of your art file. So I'm actually going to unlock both first and second layer and select all of them, all these components, and copy and paste it. I'm going to unite this together with Pathfinder, and voila, this is my second layer. So I'm going to move that over here. And now we'll just repeat those steps for the next 8 layers. Now I actually have all these layers ready and I've moved them together so they're all close together. And I'm going to select all of them. And usually for a laser cutter, they only take shapes if you want to cut them, then the lines have to be red. So I'm going to change the line stroke of this to be RGB red over here. You do not want any of these reds, you want RGB red. I'm also going to remove the color as well. So if you see, it's like 1 point around. And so for the printer that I've been using, it usually reads it when it's RGB red and 0.01 inches. Of course, this will change on the printer or the laser cutter you choose, so please make sure to check this before you cut. Additionally, as you can notice here, there's actually instances where the laser cutter may double cut. So we're going to, for our final segment, just trim these intersection parts. So how you can do that is you can click this shape and you can click C and that will get you to the scissors tool and you can just cut this over here like that. So I'll just delete that now. And as you can see, this shape doesn't actually go all the way there. So there'll be no overlapping. So just finish that up for all of the rest of these pieces and you'll be ready to go. So when you're done with your files, you also need to get them laser cut. If you do not have direct access to laser cutter, there are also many online services, and the main one out there is called Ponko. At the same time, you can also take a look around on the internet for local cutting services as well. For material, I usually use material that are about 0.125 inches thick, and you can experiment with wood, which I mainly use, but also acrylic and cardboard as well. And thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope you have fun creating your own art pieces as well. Thank you.